His father would say, and ponder over what they say, you will extract great benefits. The surah shows that the best stories ever is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, نَحْنُ نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ أَحْسَنَ الْقَصَصِ. We narrate to you, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the best stories. The people of Quraysh, they asked the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, because they used to like stories. Everybody likes stories. And nothing is the like of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals. It only reveals what is benefiting to us. You won't find the things that people would add in the stories, exaggerations, lies sometimes, things that has no benefit. Every single letter there is meant to be there, and it's of a great benefit. And the best, of course, miraculously and linguistically, and it's so much beautiful things to be taught from the surah. But it shows, as human beings, we need to learn that life is a struggle. And Yusuf alayhi salam went through times of difficulties and times of ease. And one of the great lessons to be learned from the story and from the surah is that the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He's the most wise, comes against what might you think of the situation that you're in. When a person is in a time of difficulty, he would think that this is it, or he would only be focused on the times of misery that he's in. But he doesn't see that after this misery, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decree good for the person, is matters of ease. When Yusuf alayhi salam was the son of Yaqub, and the love of Yaqub alayhi salam to Yusuf alayhi salam, something that was so great. So this is a good thing. But something not good came as a result of this love of Yaqub alayhi salam to Yusuf. This envy from his brothers, which shows also that al-hasad, or the envy between brothers, is something that needs to be dealt with, and that the parents also, they have to be watchful of this. And Yaqub alayhi salam, a prophet of Allah, this has happened to his children. So something good, something comes out of it that it's not necessarily good. And then when they plotted against Yusuf alayhi salam and they put him in the well, and of course I'm not going to mention the story because it takes time, and it's meant for it to be revealed so that we can ponder over every verse in it. Something definitely not a good thing for a child to be in a well, in the darkness of the well. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put the steadfastness and the comfort in the heart of Yusuf alayhi salam. Something that difficult and something that is that severe, something good comes out of it, right? Which happened after that, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed for Yusuf alayhi salam to be sent to Egypt and so on. And then he is to be even put in jail, right? Struggle after struggle, and then he becomes in charge of Misr. So struggle, but then at the end, what did Yusuf alayhi salam, he said, إِنَّهُ مَن يَتَّقِي وَيَصْبِرْ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. إِنَّهُ مَن يَتَّقِي وَيَصْبِرْ. Whoever have taqwa, fear of Allah, obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and patience, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would never waste the rewards and the deeds of those who are good doers. So at times of hardship, difficulties, the believers, they should have their hearts attached to this. We are tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At times of difficulty, the difficulties that we don't like, definitely something good will come out of it if we have taqwa and sabr. If we have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to be dutiful to Allah, and to witness the action of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That things does not happen by chance like this. It happens from the most wise subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Yusuf alayhi salam also said, إِنَّ رَبِّي لَطِيفٌ لِمَا يَشَاءُ. And I'm not sure exactly what's the best translation for Latif, in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Latif. Anybody knows the word that they use for the translation? Latif means, or al-lutf, the attribute itself, something when something is very delicate, gentle. When something is very delicate, something that not everybody can see, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His qadr in such a way that people won't see where things are leading to. But it's all by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever He decrees something, He creates the means for it. And the means reaches this goal in such a gentle way, in matters of ease, that nobody would ever pay attention to this. But it's by the taqwa and the patience, by being obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and having the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the patience to fulfill the orders of Allah. Some of the lessons Yusuf alayhi salam, the major tests that he went through was what? The well, right, and the prison. Which one is more severe? The well, right? The well, usually for a child to be in the well, this is a very severe one. And both, they need patience, definitely, right? And when you look into both, which one was more rewardable for Yusuf alayhi salam? The prison. Why? As the ulama, they say, the sabr that Yusuf alayhi salam was enduring in the patience, his patience there when he was in the well, it was something that he has no choice but to endure patience. This is a calamity that afflicted him, right? But he entered prison based on a choice that he had. He chose to be patient and not to fall into the sin that many people would sacrifice to fall into that sin. They would take all the means to fall into the sin that Yusuf alayhi salam chose not to follow his desire, and he chose to be in prison than to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why his name is mentioned till the day of judgment in this such story, because of this severe test that not too many people can sustain this fitna of Imra'atul Aziz, the wife of Al-Aziz. He's a stranger, he's a young person, he has been given half of the beauty, as the Prophet ﷺ said. Everyone that would see him, they would say, this is such an amazing thing. Imagine half of the beauty that was given to the human being from Adam alayhi to the day of judgment is given to Yusuf alayhi, right? So he has all means to fall into this sin, and the woman is the one that is calling him, and she is in charge of him, and the doors are locked, and he will be safe from all blame or harm. And he's a stranger. That means strangers usually they don't get the blame as someone that is a resident in a place. And you add to this that she threatened him. What else? And you can compare this to someone when he take the means to commit the sin, and he would abuse so many things so that he would commit the sin that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created in the human beings. They have tendency. This is one of the greatest fitna to men, as the Prophet ﷺ said. But Yusuf ﷺ, what did he say? قَالَ رَبِّ السِّجْنُ أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا يَدْعُونَنِي إِلَيْهِ. He said, oh my Rabb, a prison is more beloved to me than what they are calling me to do. This is the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody would ever say that the prison physically for Yusuf alayhi salam is more joyful than committing the sin, the desire itself. Of course not. It's when a believer chooses what with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the real joy of this life. Even if it's physically looks to someone looking from a distance, they would say, what is this? Why would he choose to suffer when he can choose to fulfill his desire and there's no harm? But it's a sin, it's the hellfire. It's the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the person would sacrifice. Is to be away from the joy of being close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that once a person tastes the sweetness of al-Iman, nothing on the face of earth is more sweeter than this. But most of the people, they quit on the way. They didn't reach that level. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of the sincerity of Yusuf alayhi salam, he saved him, and it's all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is also another lesson, that he chose to be in prison so that he is safe from disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the man is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with all what he went through and the status that he became in. He referred everything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he said, رَبِّ قَدْ أَتَيْتَنِي مِنَ الْمُلْكِ وَعَلَّمْتَنِي تَأْوِيلَ الْأَحَادِيثِ فاطر السماوات والأرض أنت ولي في الدنيا والآخرة توفني مسلما وألحقني بالصالحين. With all of this test after another, and he's steadfast and righteousness, and he is al-Karim ibn al-Karim ibn al-Karim, as the Prophet ﷺ said, the one that is honored, the son of honor, such a noble manners and acts and so on. He would say at the end, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are the one that bestowed this mulk, this kingdom on me. He did not say, I became the king. Oh Allah, you're the one that gave this to me. And you're the creator of the heavens and the earth. And tawaffani musliman, make me die as a Muslim, and make me walhiqni was salihin. Right? Make me join the salihin, as if he is away from the salihin. The humbleness of the believers, that he's asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be among the righteous ones. And great benefits even with dealing with his brothers after he saw them. and how that he did not bring the matter up again, and you did this to me and you did this to me, right? The forgiveness with means of goodness. Sometimes a person might forgive, but he still keep on reminding the other side of the evil that they did. He never did that, and this is a sign of a person being a noble person, right? Even he said to his father when he came back to Egypt at the end, he said to him, مِن بَعْدِ أَن نَزَغَ الشَّيْطَانُ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَ إِخْوَتِي, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed His favor upon us, and He brought you from your place to here and so on. After the shaitan had nazar. Nazar means whispered and came between, not between my brothers and me, between me and my brothers. High level of nobility, right? They're the ones that throw him in the well, right? And this is such a severe crime. And at the end, he did not say that after my brothers did that to me. No, he said after the shaitan came between me and my brothers. Such a noble character and manners. And that's why the Jannah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is expensive, as the Prophet ﷺ said, أَلَا إِنَّ سِلْعَةَ اللَّهِ غَالِيَةً أَلَا إِنَّ سِلْعَةَ اللَّهِ الْجَنَّةِ. The sil'ah of Allah, the commodity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is expensive, it's not cheap. It's the Jannah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what's the price for it? It's our life and our wealth, and one of which, the test that we go through in the human level in transactions and relationships, that we have to put forward these manners and these noble meanings, because this is what the Quran has revealed to us to live our life accordingly. And there's always a moderation between being oppressed and being brave and so on, and this is something that we need to learn. But again, because of the time, great lessons, great benefits to be learned from the surah, and it's important for us really to go through one verse after another and to see what the prophets they say. One of the great benefits, as we said before, when you're reciting the Quran, see what prophets say. What prophets say in the Quran has great lessons from it. The way they would even make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or talk about themselves, right? So humble and so virtuous and so on. Surah Al-Ra'd afterwards is different. Ra'd, what's Ra'd means? Thunder. It is like thunder, right? All strikes on the disbelievers and matters of disbelief and so on, that the main theme of it, because of the time, or the lesson to be learned when we're reciting the surah from the beginning to the end, that the truth is so strong, even if it's hidden. The truth, al-haq, is very strong, even if it's hidden. And falsehood is so weak, even if it looks powerful and so on. It's all with no foundations to it. It's like you're building a castle on a sand or in the water. It looks beautiful, but anything would make it fall. And this is again part of the test that we go through, so that the people of the truth, not to be ever deceived by falsehood. At times when falsehood looks like it's strong and doing whatever it wants, it's all weak by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for people to hold fast to the truth. And this is from the beginning to the end of the surah, where it mentioned about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the magnificent creation of Allah, and then the amazing thing with all of the powerful creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how the disbelievers, they would disbelieve in Allah. وَإِن تَعْجَبْ فَعَجَبٌ قَوْلُهُمْ. If you want to be amazed, amazing is their statement. إِذَا كُنَّا تُرَابًا and so on. When they deny the day of judgment and the resurrection, when they would ponder over the powerful creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also in the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَهُ دَعْوَةُ الْحَقِّ وَالَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ لَا يَسْتَجِيبُونَ لَهُم بِشَيْءٍ إِلَّا كَبَاسَةِ كَفَّيْهِ إِلَى الْمَاءِ لِيَبْلُغَ فَاهُ وَمَا هُوَ بِبَالِغِهِ وَمَا دُعَاءُ الْكَافِرِينَ إِلَّا فِي ضَلَالٍ. This is the meaning of falsehood. It's nothing. It's just delusion. لَهُ دَعْوَةُ الْحَقِّ, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the da'wah, is the call of al-haqq, the truth. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he said, La ilaha illallah. This is the truth. And everything in the deen is based on La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. And for those who are not following the truth, those who call other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their example is like someone, كَبَاسَةِ كَفَّيْهِ إِلَى الْمَاءِ لِيَبْلُغَ فَاهِ. It has two meanings. Either he goes into the water, the ocean or so, and he grabs water in his hand for him to drink. There's nothing, right? Or he looks at the water and his image in the water, and he's drinking. He's trying to drink from what he sees. Will he drink anything? He won't drink anything. He sees it, it's there, it looks, but he won't reach it. وَمَا هُوَ بِبَالِغِهِ. He would never reach it. This is the same way with people of falsehood. They would never attain happiness and tranquility and goodness whatsoever. It's all delusion after another, intoxication after another. But the people of the truth is what is strong and what prevails. And this is something that for the believers they have to have the patience. Also, the ayah that I don't want to repeat myself, but it was mentioned before, that shows the effect of the Quran, how it's like very, strikes on the falsehood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the example, أنزل من السماء ماء فسالت أودية بقدرها فاحتمل السيل زبدا رابيا. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought down from above the water, the rain. And this is the example of the Quran. فسالت أودية. So valleys flooded as a result of the rain. Right? بقدرها فاحتمل السيل زبدا رابيا. So the flood carries as zabad, the foam and the dirt and all the things that is of no value whatsoever. كذلك يضرب الله الحق والباطل. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the haqq, the truth, strikes the batil. Right? فأما الزبد فيذهب جفاء وأما ما ينفع الناس فيمكث في الأرض. That this is how when the water comes and the flood, the valley flooded and the foam and the dirt is on top, and then it's removed, the zabad goes away, and what benefits the people stays on the earth. This is the example of the falsehood versus the truth, and this is how the Quran do to the hearts. That means the message is we need to keep on reading the Quran, pondering over the Quran, and learning the Quran, memorizing the Quran. But we need to ponder over its meanings. The meanings, we're not talking about necessarily each and every one of us will deal about the halal and the haram and we try to implement things. We need the people of knowledge. We need to learn to learn the deen of Islam. But these types of ayat that talks about the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for us to be upright and righteous and so on. So it goes into the heart, pushes away the dirt and the impurities and all the means of evilness, like the rain when it does to the flood to the dirt. So the same thing with the Quran, eliminates the falsehood. The same way that Musa alayhi salam, when he struck the ground with his stick and it swallowed all the sticks of the magicians and the sorcerers, this is how the Quran does to the falsehood. There is no comparison whatsoever. The problem is, and those who are carriers of the Quran, they don't really see the value of it. They're not learning the Quran, they're not pondering over the Quran, they're not applying the Quran. That's why to them the falsehood might look like it's something that might be confusing with the truth. There is no way. The truth versus falsehood, there is no comparison whatsoever. If a person is talking with the evidences of the Quran and know the evidences of the Quran, nobody can ever stand in front of the evidence of the Quran and the hujjah, the evidences that are established in the Quran. But we need to have that knowledge. And we need to be attached to the Quran because nobody can ever refute it, because the truth is always have these great characteristics to it. And that's why also in the surah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about the Quran, وَلَوْ أَنَّ قُرْآنًا سُيِّرَتْ بِهِ الْجِبَالِ أو قطعت به الأرض أو كلم به الموتى بل لله الأمر جميعا. If it was a Quran, if the Quran was to be to destroy the mountains or to break the earth asunder or so, right? Or for the dead to be talked with the Quran, right? It would have been more even with this book of Allah. That means the value of this Quran, the miraculous nature of the Quran is more than this. The Quran is stronger in power than this, than to break the earth and to do all of these things. The Quran is stronger with the hujjah, with the evidence in it. And what does it do to the hearts? Changes the hearts, and that's the everlasting miracle. And that's why, again, we need to give more attention to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not to be deceived by the falsehood, but instead to be strong on matters of the truth. And that's why the most intellectual individual on the face of earth, the most powerful physically, can never stand the arguments of the Quran. They will be defeated immediately. Right? Human beings, yes, physically, تلك الأيام نداولها بين الناس, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, sometimes the falsehood has more physical power than those who are carrying the truth. And the people of the truth might be oppressed at certain times. Yes, physically people would vary. But when it comes to intellectuals and hujjah and evidences and the truth versus falsehood, nobody can ever defeat the arguments of the Quran. That's why the ayah is true at all times when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون, which means it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the one that sent His messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and His message ليظهره, to make the message of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, يظهره, to be apparent, to be overpowering anything else. That means the deen of Islam is always victorious. This is at all times, not physically. Physically sometimes yes, sometimes no, but non-physically. That means with the arguments that the truth is carried in the Quran. So nobody can ever defeat this truth, but the misery is that the people of the truth are turning away from the source of their happiness and strength in this life and in the hereafter, when they turn away from the Quran to seek help from other things. And that's why we have to, it's an opportunity in the month of Ramadan, that we really repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from that and to get to learn the Quran and the message of the Quran, and to make the Quran work on our hearts, to clean our hearts and to live our life according to the Quran, and to learn the message of the Quran with the powerful message in it, and the arguments and the hujjat and the evidences that are brought in the Quran. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us benefit from what we hear and what we listen. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم.